One. So Rolfini, welcome to the show. And
Hey, what's up, Glenn? Thanks, man.
I'm glad to have you on. And you and I were bouncing around some change of schedules left and right. It's, we were just talking about how we thought with this quarantine and this shelter in place and this telework and work from home, things would be easier, but maybe it's a little bit more complicated to try to
It definitely makes it more complicated sometimes.
Yeah. Like that change of schedule, we think it's going to get simple and it just got a hell of a lot more complicated. But Rolfini, from what I understand, you're an actor, filmmaker, producer in the DC area, I believe.
That's correct.
Awesome. So go ahead, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, what you've been up to.
Well, Glenn, first of all, I'd like to extend my prayers out to everyone that has been affected by COVID-19, regardless of your beliefs or affiliations. With that being said, my name's ROLFINI Woodby. I'm a former United States Marine, former police officer. And some years back, someone asked me to step up and be in a stage play, and which was actually kind of funny because I have a severe fear of being in front of people. And I did it. I liked it, and I've been out here trying to, excel, in this craft ever since then, But I just want to, again, say thank you, for having me on. And, to extend, like I said, my prayers and blessings out to everyone who's lost someone as a result of COVID-19.
Yeah. Stage fright. So you're a vet and you're a cop, so you're in front of people all the time. I've been doing production and crew work for the past 15, but I enlisted in the National Guard. So part-time military. I enlisted 2011 and still had a little bit of stage fright. And then one day I woke up and, a couple of partners of mine started dabbling in acting. And I realized, I'm in front of, I'm an E5 now, a sergeant, I'm in front of these privates, that don't take me seriously. And I'm up there teaching them. I'm up there calling them to parade rest or holding formations. And I realized, if I could do that, I can probably do just about anything in front of a crowd or in front of a camera. And, definitely broke out of that little, shyness shell of mine. But I get that. I had that for quite some time. I never really wanted to be in front of the camera. I was behind. And I still want to, my end goals are still to write, produce, direct, big projects. But yeah.
I tell you, it's amazing. A lot of people, they'll say, oh, no, you don't suffer from that. But this was another way of me dealing with the stage fright. Because like you said, being a battalion platoon sergeant, I'd be up there in front of hundreds of people, giving all type of commands and this, that, and the other, and that just came second nature. But then when someone gives you a script and you have to be here, you have to say that, you have to make sure you remember all your cues, and it was a little bit more. It was almost overwhelming, because when starting out in stage plays, you only have one opportunity to get it right a lot of times, and if you mess it up, it's gone. And the first time I did mess up, and I came off the stage, and I told the stage manager, I said, "Hey, I messed up. I missed the line." He's like, "They love you. Don't worry about it. Just kill it on the next one." And that really was the defining moment for me, because if he would have been like, "Oh my God, you're the worst actor in the world. Why did you even come out here?" I probably would have never stepped in front of the crowd again, in that type of arena.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first off, I find myself guilty of that sometimes. Someone says to me, like recently I tried dabbling in a real estate video, and they gave me a couple examples, and I showed my product after I shot the house, did some drone shots, did that whole virtual tour, with a camera, and edited it all down, add some effects, add some music. I had a lot of people tell me like, this is amazing. But then the client shot it down, and I said, and so now I take a step back and I say, I've got a number of other things on my plate that I know I'm really good at, if not great at. This is kind of a new thing. Do I really need to add this to my repertoire, or do I need to keep it and just get better at it? And so, someone, like in your case, thankfully the guy was really encouraging for you and pushed you forward. But for me, they weren't. And so do I quit, or do I try to harness that skill even more? And and so I think specifically that I've already got a number of things on my plate anyway, and I'm doing well, teleworking and stuff like that. I don't think I exactly need to add real estate videos, to
Right.
my to my whole kit. But also that moment kind of makes me sit back and think, have I quit because people shot me down, or how I pushed harder
Right.
and re-aimed and kept working out whatever skill that is, and kept re-aiming, refocusing, trying, getting better, getting better. And I feel like that, even though I was shot down, even though I was criticized, even though I was told, this or that sucked, I think for the most part, I kept pushing forward. I kept persevering. And yeah, I mean, I will agree with you that, you and I may have both overcome that shyness, that stage fright, that camera shyness, that self-consciousness. Still, I have a hard time watching myself after. I have no problem putting on the suit, the badge, the gun, acting, and 9 times out of 10. And so the military was acting school for me. So 9 times out of 10, it's detective this, officer that, sergeant this, major that, whatever. But then it's time to watch it, and the wife wants to watch it, and I'm sitting there like, oh God, like
Yeah,
over.
I hate to watch. I hate to watch anything that I've been in. People are like, oh my God, it was great, it was this, and I'm probably my worst own critic, because I know that I could have done better. I know what I've messed up, and I mean, I have some projects out there that I'm not exactly fond of, but I'll go back and look at them, and I compare them to where I am now, and I see the growth, and that's what it's all about. It's about growth,
Yeah.
There have been times where it's like people tell you, oh, just quit, just stop, but if you really have that passion and you really want to do it, then I encourage anyone, man, keep on pushing forward, keep on trying to achieve, what you're aiming at. Because when I know, if someone would have told me 10 years ago that one day I would be nominated for a daytime Emmy, I'd be like, for what? Get out of here. I would have never believed it, because I don't know too many people from my neighborhood who can make that claim. And so I'm learning, I'm getting better, and I've learned from those failures or those not so great moments.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some people remind me from time to time, yeah, that one kind of sucked. I'm like, thank you, I appreciate that. I'm getting better.
Yeah, and yeah, there's always the one or twosies that they're not tracking the vision. Like once they see it on screen, then finally they're like, oh yeah, that is awesome. But there's always that brick wall. You're always going to hit a brick wall with a couple of partners, a couple of clients, a couple of colleagues, and they're just not going to get that vision. They're not going to understand what it is you're trying to do. They have their own advice, and you kind of have to weed through those weeds of bad advice or just not accurate. When I say bad advice or inaccurate, like, a lot of people just, they hear one thing, they think it applies to all, and it's not always the case.
Yeah, that cookie cutter thing, I've learned that a lot of times people don't really know what they want till they see it. My first commercial was played for about 5 years. I was a little hesitant to go out for it because I was not in the age range that they were looking for. It's like someone, in their 30 to mid 30s. I went out there like in my late 40s, and so, I went out there, first guy in, I'm looking at all these young guys walking around, and I went in with the first group, and, the director, he wasn't even there. He was on Skype. And, he's just like, oh my God, I love this guy's size. And, pick up the baby. They had a little doll baby there for me, and they're having me walk, and I'm terrified. And, and he's like, no, don't do it like that. Do it like this. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, I'm bombing this. There's no way I'm going to get this. And I started driving home from Richmond, and I got the call, and they were like, yeah, they loved you. They want you to come back. And, that commercial was playing in prime time, for years. And And of course, people were like, "Oh my God, you're rich!" You know, that commercial was playing, and I was like, "Yeah, you don't understand. You know,
Yeah.
it's not a national commercial. You know, you get paid one time for that, and that's it. They can play it for 100 years, and I'm not going to make any more money off of it. But people don't know what they want till they see it. So keep
Right.
on giving them. You know, keep giving them your vision, and that's what I would encourage anyone to do. You know, keep giving your vision, and hopefully someone will be like, they'll believe in it.
Yeah, and you know, in our game, in our arena, you know, say with auditions, you know, there was one casting director or casting coordinator that I went and auditioned for maybe 10 times and never booked a gig with her. And then there was one gig where they said, "Hey, we want you to come and audition, but you're actually going to go audition with the producers." So they were kind of coordinating the whole audition process, but you're actually going to audition right in front of the producers for this commercial. Hey, no problem. So I did that, booked it. And so it dawned on me that maybe it's just this one casting director, casting coordinator that is different than others. And it's not necessarily my performance. Like I'm nailing it. And I think you froze up. Oh, okay, you're back. So I realized that, you know, it's not necessarily my skill. It's just maybe she's looking for something different, and she's weeding out, you know, the first 90% as opposed to me. And so then I booked it, and it was a very high paying, very visible commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And since they liked me so much, they had another commercial where someone dropped out. They called me right away. Hey, you want to be you want to come right back to our same studio and do a totally different commercial. Somebody backed out. We loved you on the first one. So I didn't even have to audition for that one.
Right.
And it was another extremely high paying gig,
mm-hmm.
very, very visible. And it's just, and I've talked about this a number of times, you know, on my show previously, where I just developed, and I've heard a number of other advices from, you know, other actors and stuff. And I just go into an audition planning. Not planning, but I go into auditions assuming that I'm not going to get it. I'm relaxed because look, if I'm going into this audition, obviously I didn't have a gig. It was a day off. What else am I doing? So I go to this audition, but I'm relaxed. I go in there assuming I might not get it, planning that I might not get it. And so I'm not stressed. I'm not sweaty. I'm not nervous. You know, remember my lines, obviously. You know, if they gave me sides, I'm going to go over those and lock them down.
Right.
So, you know, the top three for me is remember your lines, be comfortable in front of the camera or the audition process, and connect to the character. And if all three of those are checked, then it's like, hey, just go, as far as an audition goes, just go in there, assuming I'm not going to get it, relax. And still, a lot of times I don't get it, but you know, but a lot of times I do. You know, I'd say right now my track record's 50-50, but I think that's just about all actors, really. Their track record's about 50-50 when it comes to these auditions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, you just never know what they're looking for until you're there. And like I said, I mean, just show them who you are and let them make the decision. I mean, that's all you can really do. I mean, even when you're the guy making the decision, you know, you may see someone, you know, that's like, yeah, I just don't know, you know. So like I said, just go shoot your shot, see what happens. If you get it, great. Try to make the best of it. If you don't get it, then, you know, that's experience for you.
I mean, even failures. I mean, we have to fail in order to get better. We have to, like, everyone's even afraid to fail. But if you didn't even try out, you'll never even have the single.
You failed twice, you know, because you didn't try, and then you defeated yourself before you even went out to try. You know? So never defeat yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So, theater, you know, well, first off, my end goal as an actor. So 6 years ago, I'd started dabbling in acting, and a couple of those. And between now and then, I think there was like a whole year. It was nothing but acting. But for me, it's all about set life. You know, if I'm doing crew work or if I'm doing acting, I got to be on set 24/7. I got to, you know, I want that full-time job, my full-time career, my full-time life to be you know, in the film industry. So that's why I broke out of my shell, started acting so I could be on set and fill in the schedule, be on set, behind the camera or in front of it. But for me, it's all about film and TV. And you know, I botched it. All right, take two, take three. I mean,
Right.
so kudos to the theater. Because I don't know, like we said, you know, never say never. Don't defeat yourself. But geez, theater.
It's hard, and I tell people that it's very exhausting. I've done as many as 3 or 4 shows in one day, and it is so mentally exhausting. And when I did make that transition from theater to film, I remember getting there with the theater mindset, and you know, so I filmed it. The camera's right in my face. That was very uncomfortable because I wasn't used to that. You know, so I was obviously nervous. And then, you know, after it was done, the director's like, okay, that's a wrap. And I was like, but wait, I can do it better. And he's like, nope, that's it. We don't have the time. You know, we're just going to roll with that. And that's one of those learning curves that I have. I go back and I look at it, and it's like nails on a chalkboard for me. Because it's like, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 takes to get this right. And sometimes you only get one.
Even in film.
Exactly. Sometimes you get that one opportunity to make it epic. So you got to take advantage of it when you can. That was the biggest transition. But theater is extremely exhausting to me, and so film has been like, you know, a wave of fresh air.
Yeah.
So if I went back to theater, because I've been asked, and I was like, the money would have to be just amazing for me to go back to theater, because I think we rehearsed for 6 months just to do those shows.
Yeah.
And it's very time consuming, you know. And I really didn't have that type of time, you know. It just every weekend was just consumed with this rehearsal, you know. Okay, let's do it again. But I love the experience. I love the experience of being in theater, because you have to learn so many different things.
Right. And yeah, again, for me, you know, as a filmmaker, as a producer, as you know, looking at it from a business sense as well, trying to build my own brand and my own channel, it's this fine line between quality and quantity.
Right.
And you know, trying to get my product out there and my ideas, as well as working on other people's shows and other people's films and collaborations. But like you said, 6 months of rehearsal for maybe a week-long run.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's like I could knock out maybe 3 films in that time. You know what I mean? And but see, again, it's just, listen, some people love doing theater, and that's for them, and that's what they got to do, and that's awesome, and so that's why I don't knock. But no, that's I mean, that's incredible. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of training, and but yeah, I'd have to agree. Yeah, if the money's right, I guess. Yeah, rehearse.
If the money's right, you know, I think I can do it. You know, but it is hard. You know, it's very hard, but like I said, it helps you develop, you know, very important skills that you can take, you know, into film or into web series or anything else like that. You know, learning how to project your voice, and learning, you know, when not to never turn your back on the crowd. You know what I mean? Right. It's just these type of things that you learn. But it was important, and it helped me. It helped me start my road towards getting better with stage fright, because most people are like, oh man, it was a packed theater with those lights in your face. You really only see maybe 3 or 4 rows. After that, it's just a blur, you know. So, but knowing that they were there, and there have been times where I do a show, I only remember the beginning and the end. I'm like, how did I do? Because I don't remember anything about the show. because you're just so busy moving to the next step, wardrobe changes, all of this other stuff like that, but it was definitely valuable experience.
Yeah. I mean, that's where muscle memory comes in, where rehearsals and, absorbing that dialogue and that action and that character as your own, so that when you're up there doing it, like you said, you remember the beginning, you remember the end, but that's where the escape, and that's where the talent comes in. That's where the metamorphosis of acting comes in, is that, well, I don't remember most of the shit we did. Apparently it was good. Well, that's because you, ROLFINI, or me, Nelson, I did a whole bunch of shit today. I put together a chair, but now thinking about it, like, I don't remember exactly what I did when I woke up, because that's what I did. It just became, so this character on stage just became, you became that character, and all that stuff you said and did on stage, like, what the hell did we do? Because because all that rehearsal, all that muscle memory, because I get up because think about it, you get up every morning, brush your teeth, get dressed, go downstairs, play or hang out with, whoever in the family or the roommates or whatever. And you're like, what did I do today? Well, people don't realize that they actually did a lot. What did I eat today? What did I cook today? Well, and that's where that rehearsal becomes, because they're training you to become that character. They're training you that those words are your words. And so, like, last night I had a conversation with my brother on the phone. I remember that. What we talked about is kind of hazy, but me and my brother always have a conversation. But you keep muscle memorying yourself, and you keep practicing those words. They become your words that you just happen to do one day, and you realize, wow, that was theater. Oh, and you know what? Theater probably is one of those things where someone, kind of dogged me on, and I never picked back up. But geez, the stage fright. And back then, I had the stage fright. But, you have to, like, for me to be successful, I have to love what I do. And I've always loved film, action movies, Transformers and G.I. Joes, all the different shows, all the different X-Files, the Predator and the Terminator and the Alien movies and all those things. And like, that's what I grew up with. That's what I always wanted to, like, be a part of, is like these extraordinary storytellings and, films, Indiana Jones and Star Wars and all that stuff. And
classics, man.
Yeah. But those were the things that I wanted to be a part of in the future, or redo or expand upon, as a career. And so those are the things I love. And so, my biggest advice, and that's probably been brought up every episode of this podcast, is you have to love what you do. You're going to be successful if you're going to be successful if you love what you do. An old Irish saying, a buddy of mine on the DC Fire Department told me, don't hate your job and beat your wife. Love your job, love your wife, and then happy wife, happy life.
Always love your wife. And
it's all going to be cyclical. So if people are afraid to take a risk at doing what they want to do in life, and 15 or 12 years ago, I took that plunge and decided, drop everything, become full-time freelance, work for myself. I planned even before that, saved up a whole bunch of money. I had, my grind fund, and I'm going to build, an LLC. I'm going to build a brand. I'm going to, work for myself, and I'm going to just live on sets and blah, 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 blah. And it steadily grew. And, I'm not a millionaire by any means financially, or according to the bank statement, but I'm a billionaire with happiness, and like, I can brag about shit.
That's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm gonna tell you, Glenn, some people are born and die and never truly live.
Absolutely.
And I tell people, I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I played semi-pro basketball overseas. I've been in the military. I've been a police officer. I've driven trucks. I'm writing some poems right now. I want to get it published. I've acted. I've done stage. I've been in front of the camera. I've been behind the camera. Being behind the camera is amazing. and I just tell people I just don't know what I want to do or be when I grow up. And, you know, I'm going to keep on doing it until I find that niche and so forth. You know, and people like, well, you did this and you could have been here. Yeah, but I've been places where some people have never been. There are people who've never even left their state, never left the country. You know, I spent 3.5 years in Japan, you know, beautiful, beautiful place, beautiful people, you know, and they're like, well, why did you come back? I said, well, because I missed home, of course, you know, and I wasn't big on the flight. That was a long flight, man. Over too much water. I'm not the greatest swimmer. So if I could go to sleep and wake up and go to sleep and wake up again and I'm still over water, I had to ask the stewardess if that was a problem. And I said, are we still supposed to be over water? She's like, oh, that's normal. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm coming back. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to truly live.
Yeah.
And shoot your shot. You know, don't let society or people tell you that you can't achieve something. You know, there are people born with no arms, you know, out there driving cars. You know,
Yeah.
I remember playing basketball. The guy, he was only born with one arm, and you know, and he's out there playing, you know, basketball and dunking on people with one arm. And I was like, we have people out there with all their limbs and aren't able to do that. You know, so we adapt. Human beings are able to adapt and overcome anything if we put our minds to it. You know, and our bodies will also adapt if they need to. So I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying my trip, you know, through life. And it was great to have some accolades as a producer, you know, and now I'm starting to venture out and I'm trying to write my own little web series, you know, and hopefully it'll be well received, you know. But like I said, every production I'm on, I'm learning, I'm watching, you know, and of course, if you're in the indie field, you may be the lead actor, the writer, producer, the boom man, you know, you may be the guy walking to get coffee, you know, you put it all on your resume, you know, especially at this level, the indie level. Anybody working at the indie level, I commend you. You're amazing, because the hardest thing to do in the world is to get someone to work for you for free.
Right. Yeah.
You know, quality, give you quality work for free.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And I've been blessed. I mean, you know, there's a number of outlets and there's a number of, you know, casting sites and stuff like that. And I've worked on and I've produced myself some ultra low, you know, low budget web series. Reached out to a bunch of voice actors and reached out to a couple of colleagues I've been on set with, and they gave me 110% for Grubhub. I said, hey, I got a 12 pack, and I'll get Chinese, I'll get Greek, I'll get whatever you want. I got a 12 pack. You know, let's kill it. And we freaking killed it, man. And you know, in my opinion, you know, these things came out phenomenally. And so, you know, those are the folks that, you know, I put, you know, VIP and like an extra star next to in the contact book, and it's like, okay, when shit kicks off, these are the folks I'm going to reach out. And of course, you know, when it comes to the bigger stuff, everybody wants bigger names. I'm like, listen, these guys are willing to work. These guys are willing to work for scale, and they're just as talented. You know, like let's get these guys.
I'm gonna tell you, you know, when I became a part of Anacostia, the web series, you know, I looked at it and, you know, it's just, I fell in love with the idea. You know, growing up, what I did, you know, it was nothing to come home and to see daytime soap operas, you know, The Edge of Night, General Hospital, and all this other stuff. So at first it's like, you know, but then after a while, you know, kind of get into it. So when I joined this web series, you know, I never would have seen that one day. I mean, we're still winning awards, man. I think since I've been on this web series as an actor and a producer, been nominated for a Daytime Emmy. We've had an actress, Martha Byrne, wonderful actress. You know, she actually won a Daytime Emmy for being on the web series. And we won a lot of other, you know, different things. I think I have six trophies at home just being a part of this web series, you know, and I never would have seen it when I started, a lot of people talk down about it, you know, but you have to look at it and judge for yourself if you want to be part of a project. And I'm always willing to be part of any quality project, you know. Who wouldn't? What person wouldn't want to be a part of history? And that web series did make history. I mean, how many times have you seen a web series, you know, make it all the way up to the daytime Emmys? We were the first time they let web series in, independent web series. We were there, you know, and man, it was amazing to walk the red carpet and to be sitting at tables, you know, with, you know, Judge Hatchett and you see Ellen and all this other stuff sitting in the same room. You know, even if I didn't win, just the fact that I'm there, you know, is freaking amazing, and I'm proud of that. So definitely, you know, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, taking a shot. You know, touching back on like what you mentioned. There's some people that have never left their state, and I remember I was on this long production weekend, and we took a trip to AC, and I think, you know, I think I won like $50 or whatever. So then we came back to New York, and I was on the subway, and I met this dude on the subway. He's a New Yorker, lived there all his life. Now I didn't ask him like, well, we were chatting about this, that, and the other. And I don't know if you ever left New York, but he is a New Yorker. He's been a New Yorker all his life. He might have left the state and gone elsewhere, but he's been a New Yorker all his life, never been to the Statue of Liberty. So I said, so, you know, I gave him $10. I was like, dude, you get to the Statue of Liberty. I gave him $10. And it's not like he was, you know, begging for cash or anything like that. He was just a regular Joe on the subway. But I'm like, dude. And for me, I was like, well, fuck it. I got 50 extra bucks that I just happened to win. So I threw him a 10. I said, bro, here's a 10. Get to the Statue of Liberty by the end of the week. And it's like, why are you a New Yorker? And he had to be in his like late 30s, early 40s. How are you a New Yorker? You've never been to the Statue of Liberty. And so, you know, I think that's one of the conflicts. I think that's one of the issues that a lot of folks have, not just leaving the state, but it's like, you have to get outside. You got to take a couple of chances. You got to like put in a few extra hours to explore and to experiment. And I think you might have frozen again. I'm not sure. You still there? All right. So we switched over to your phone. Welcome back. No worries. So,
Tell you technical
hey,
difficulty.
technical difficulties always. No worries, man. This is time of COVID. This is quarantine. Everyone's teleworking, so I think I think the general public's a little more forgiving these days. So, what the heck were we talking about? So, yeah, this is the new norm. So,
well, the guy was in New York, and you gave him money to get on the to go
hey,
see the statue.
I threw him a 10. I said, dude, listen. I mean, I think he might have, he might have stepped outside of New York, gone to other states maybe. But I said, bro, if you're a New Yorker, you've been here all your life, you gotta go see. You absolutely have to go see the Statue of Liberty. So I hope he did. I never got his number. I never said, hey, send me a picture or anything. But I mean, yeah, like, and it's just you gotta take a risk, and you gotta like fill in time to explore and experiment and fail and fail again and stuff like that. So.
You have to, and that's most people. I've been in the DC area since I came back from Japan, and I've never gone to the Washington Monument. And when I retire, I plan to leave the area. Hopefully before then, I will go to see the monument. But at least I can say I've been to the Smithsonian, a few of them. Been to the White House during the previous administration. Wasn't really impressed with the White House. It was kind of small, but I'm just I was like, I'm not really impressed. And then it's like, yeah, you can't take pictures in here. I'm like, well, how will anybody know I've been here if I don't take pictures? But I get it, and a lot of people are like that. A lot of people they will be born and die and never really live. And we have to do that, because when some people are like, oh, you've been here, you've been there, to them, it's like you're the most amazing person in the world because you've done this. And to us, it's like, yeah, it's not really a big deal, but to them it is. And I think sometimes we have to look at, where other people are compared to where we've been.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another reason why I enlisted. And so for me, I was real careful and real strategic about how I was going to enlist in the military, because I've worked with a lot of actors, a lot of full-time actors that are not who did I meet? I met Kareem. He was a villain on 24. He was in X-Men Origins. I think he's British. He's African, and I think he's a British African. He has a slight African accent, but most of the roles he always, emphasizes that African. Oh God, what the hell is his name? Anyways, I worked with him on an independent feature, and he said, "Listen, I get enough roles. I'm working full. I'm doing this full time, but I've planned on those backups. A lot of actors, a lot of actors have that." That real estate backup, or they have that investment firm backup, or they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that as a backup. Now, if you have that backup, you're gonna end up going to that backup. And so that's why I was real strategic. I'm not gonna enlist active duty. I'm gonna do National Guard, which is like part-time, 1 week in a month, 2 weeks in the summer. There are opportunities for me to take advantage of, but I can always jump off those opportunities, get back into the film once the phone rings, says, hey, I got a gig, or hey, I need you on this, or blah, 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 then I can go back to the film. But also with the military, it was like, I've been to Germany. I've been just about every state in the US now, Kuwait, Ireland. Where'd we stop off? We stopped off in a couple other places just for a day or two. But I've been to countries just for a day or two. A lot of people have never been to, and kind of lucked out, and some family moved to Sweden, so I've been to Sweden, Denmark, France. And a lot of traveling. Not a lot of traveling, not only with the film and TV industry, but with the military, and so, but. The point of my story is I'm getting paid to do that. There's a lot of civilians that take leadership classes. They have to pay for leadership classes. They have to pay to take a course on how to teach courses. You know,
Exactly.
you have to pay to take that instructor course. And
Exactly.
in the military, I got paid. I was put on orders and I was getting paid to go to sergeant school, to go to instructor school, to instruct
Learning
other
to be a leader.
instructors. Yeah. And, you know, I'm getting paid for these leadership classes, which are then turning around. And so now I got extra money in the bank, extra money in the pocket. And then I'm turning around and I'm putting that leadership experience and that leadership knowledge into being an AD or being a production coordinator or a producer or a director or even an actor as, you know, sergeant, whatever, detective, whatever. And so that's why I was very, very strategic. A lot of research. And then what branch is in just about every movie?
Well, you got the Army in pretty much everything.
Right. So, right. So, and there's only 2 guards, I think. I don't think there's a Marine or Navy guard. There's only, all 4 branches have reserves, and then there's Army guard and air guard. So,
right.
Yeah. So chose Army, and everyone sees a rank in Army, and of course, you know, I'll be more than humble and be like, of course it's guard. So I wasn't like special ops or anything. I can play one on TV though.
but you know, to them, they you know, they think everyone, you know, if you're in the military, you're a trained killer. And then, you know, I say, yeah, we have those guys. You know, I'm not that guy. You know, I'm not that guy.
I certainly don't want to be that guy. You know, I was born and I'm determined to be an artist, storyteller, you know, hopefully a pretty face on TV and make a decent living of it. But but no, I mean, I love the military. I've loved what I gotten out of it. I love the camaraderie. I love, you know, the battle buddies that I've made in there, and you know, but at some point it's got to end. But you know, this is but the film and TV is the end all be all for me, as well as the wife and the kid, maybe a second kid down the line. But yeah, Anacostia, that's amazing. I've heard of it. I think I even have the show on a playlist on my YouTube for me to binge watch at some time. But so much to binge watch.
It is so much to binge watch, especially when you have this amount of time, you know, and I will tell anyone who's, you know, out there trying to break into the business, you know, because if you start at season 1, you can say, okay, I can see that it's a diamond in the rough and this, but you get to see the development season after season after season after season till you get to this point. And that shows a person with a dream and an idea starting out with almost nothing. And to see it go from this to this, you know, it's to me, it's freaking amazing, you know, and for someone to get out there and to put their dream out there. And I'm sure, you know, the creator of the show, he was told, just give up, just stop, you know, you're wasting your time, you know, but I can say that he's always said that, hey, I'm going to make this thing work and we're going to shock the world. And I have to agree with him. He's been shocking the world ever since. You know, I just hope that I have even a fraction of the success that he's had with this show when I venture out on my own.
Absolutely. Yeah. Fantastic. Speaking of binge watching, anything you've been watching outside of your own work, of course, anything that helps you escape, take your mind off things, inspire you? Books too, if there's a book or two or a series of books.
Well, you know, I'll say this. I'm one of those people. If I had to make a choice between like Facebook or Instagram or something like that or YouTube, I watch YouTube all day long. I binge watch YouTube. But I did watch a movie, The Old Guard.
Hell yeah!
Amazing movie.
Hell yeah.
I think if I'll sit there and watch it 2 or 3 times, then that means I enjoyed it. Extinction. The war movie with I think it's Thor. Thor is in it, right? Is it Extinction and Extraction? Extraction.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I watched it. Man, did you see the behind the scenes how they did some of the camera work with that?
Yeah, the freaking director sitting on the hood of a car with a Ronin gimbal, and someone else, and I think someone was holding him.
Exactly.
And then the car stops. That person lets him go so he can jump off the car. But he's sitting on the hood of a car during a car chase. Like, bro, oh my
Man,
God. I don't need that shot that bad, bro.
but you know what? It made the movie. I
Yeah.
mean, because when you're sitting there and you're watching
Yeah.
some of the fight scenes, I was like, man, I'm trying in my mind, I'm trying to picture how do you even wrap your head around this? Because so many people are conditioned to, okay, this is how we get this particular shot.
Yeah.
He was like, scrap that. I'm not gonna do it the traditional way. This is how I'm gonna do it, and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And it made a hell of a movie, you know. And so I love that. That's on my favorite movie list. And then as far as series, I just finished binge watching 3%, which is it's a foreign web series. Well, not web series, it's a foreign series. But it was great. I love the concept, where you have this 3% who they're considered to be, superior to the other 97%.
Mm-hmm.
And they have these tests to separate, to continue to keep getting that 3%. And people said, hey, that's not fair, that's not right. And they take things into their own hands.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that, but I with all so much time on my hands, I've been watched so many shows.
Yeah.
I really do. But YouTube is my go-to. I love YouTube because YouTube is where we put our web series at when we first started. It started on YouTube out there, and it got a following, and it went from YouTube, and now it's on Amazon Prime. I'm gonna tell you that's a blessing.
All right, Prime. Yeah, because I think I got the first 2 seasons on YouTube, and I've been meaning to binge watch it, but the second I'm about to sit down and do something else distracts me, and then I find myself watching something else. There's so much stuff in my watch list that it's going to take me another deployment to just catch up halfway through. But yeah, man.
Got some time.
Yeah. Well, Dark Fate. I just watched Terminator Dark Fate.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool. I mean, Dark Fate follows directly from Terminator 2,
right?
With Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor. So definitely, I think it's the better of. If there was going to be a third one, this should have always been the third one, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
iconic. She was iconic in that role.
Yeah.
I mean, some people, they just define the roles. You got Jack Nicholson and a few good men. Well, Jack Nicholson almost everything. You got Al Pacino. You got Sigourney Weaver. Some people just, that's their role, and you can never. Hell, Wolverine. And I would, I think I can never see anybody else playing Wolverine.
I can't agree with you more. And it's like, I'm so excited that the MCU now has access to the X-Men, and we're going to see the X-Men and the Avengers teamed up at some point in the next, 5 or 6 or 10 years, what have you. But who can take over that role, man? I mean, it's like Linda Hamilton's always going to be Sarah Connor. Sigourney Weaver's always going to be Ripley, and I couldn't agree with you more.
Exactly.
Bruce Willis is always going to be John McClane, always, and
yeah, he's always Die Hard, man.
Always. And I think the next Die Hard that they have slated is going to be a prequel sequel. There's going to, like, half the movie's flashbacks of,
right.
From what I've read, I don't know if you remember the first 3 Die Hard movies, but he went to LA to visit his wife.
Course.
So he went to LA to visit his wife because he got in trouble for something in New York. And then I think they kind of botched the story a little bit to where he transferred to LA PD to be there with his wife. And then in Die Hard with a Vengeance, Die Hard 3, Die Hard with a Vengeance, he was back in New York, and he was back to being a detective in New York. But in the very beginning of Die Hard with a Vengeance with Sam Jackson, remember he was hungover, and like they called him to like respond to like those phone calls, those riddles by Jeremy Irons.
Right.
And they made mention of something that he got in trouble for, and it was the thing he got in trouble for that he took some time off to go to LA in the first one, and they made some very vague references to, like, I don't know, him punching a commissioner in the face or something, or
Yeah, it was something.
yeah,
I'm trying to remember, great movie, but it's been
yeah.
so long ago.
And so I
You know,
think that's what part of Die Hard 6 is going to be about, is like the flashbacks are going to be that incident, and then, like, I guess, like the rest of the movie is going to be Bruce Willis playing modern day McClane, probably on his
right.
very last case and finally retiring. But
I don't know. They might get the Rocky juice, and just
yeah.
keep coming back, or the Halloween juice.
Hey, listen, Creed 2 was so what is it? Was so good to, like, delve into the whole darkness
Mm-hmm.
of the consequences and repercussions of Rocky 4.
Right.
It was this very dark, very cathartic in a way, but
Mm-hmm.
it was dark.
Right.
Ivan Drago had a lot of demons that he had to deal with. Rocky
Exactly.
still, and obviously, Creed, we discovered, Adonis's demons and issues,
Mm-hmm.
just being, Apollo's illegitimate child, and so on and so forth. And as that
Mm-hmm.
progressed to Creed 2, it was a bit haunting at times, because
It was.
because the style of Rocky 4 was very much a music video. It's very 80s, very,
Mm-hmm.
very bright, and of course it was traumatizing to have Apollo Creed die in Rocky 4.
Oh yeah, I think everybody felt that.
Everybody felt that. Of course,
You had to.
everybody felt Mickey's passing in 3 and
Mm-hmm.
Apollo's passing in 4. But
Right.
it was like, okay, Rocky goes to Russia and ends the Cold. Basically, Rocky ends the Cold War, and it's all a happy ending. They try to
Right.
delve into some darkness of brain damage in Rocky 5, and that movie wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
But they really, really went into this, much more cathartically dark atmosphere, with just what this whole career and what this and what their lives, how their lives just
Mm-hmm.
didn't turn out the way they wanted to, for Ivan Drago, for
Exactly.
Rocky Balboa, for Ivan's kid, for Ivan Drago's wife leaving him and like hooking up with some Russian consulate member.
Right.
Apollo Creed, Adonis Creed, still trying to measure up and hold on.
Mm-hmm.
And then he wants revenge or whatever to the Dragos, and so like you were saying, like with Die Hard, like who knows what we might get. I mean, I know A Good Day to Die Hard wasn't well received, but I thought Live Free or Die Hard 4 was pretty good. And
Yeah.
but
It's just one of those things. I think Rocky has always. Actually, I just watched something on YouTube about it, where they went from how it transitioned from Rocky 1 all the way through, and how they needed to kill some people off, and and to see the struggle of Rocky, losing everyone that he loves,
yeah,
one at a time. And, sometimes it makes us take a long look in the mirror at ourselves. If you ever, really get deep into the movie, just like the Book of Eli,
oh
I
yeah,
tell people, I said, if you really, really look past, the movie and look at what the message is, it's so deep. And I don't think you can do any better. If they ever came back with a part 2, I just don't know how you can do anything better than part 1 of Book of Eli.
Book of Eli was extraordinary.
It showed a person who was willing to lose everything to obtain something, so that he could control the masses. And that's basically what he said. With this book, I can control the masses. It's worth losing everything.
Yep.
And then once he finally obtained the book, he couldn't read it.
Right.
So movies are there are a lot of messages in movies, and that's why I think sometimes you have to go back and you have to look at the director's cut and see exactly what the director was saying, because there are so many Easter eggs.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many Easter eggs, and I think that's what terrifies me with writing my own product. It's like what kind of Easter eggs will I come up with? Because even the Marvel universe, it's been going on for so long, and the Easter eggs, you know, you'll see something now like, well, yeah, 10 years ago, they put an Easter egg in that was going to lead to this. I'm like, who thinks like that?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, so it's freaking amazing. I love it personally.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Absolutely. And you know, what's funny is I was growing up, I was more of a DC kid than I was a Marvel
Hmm.
kid. But, you know, the way that they've put those Marvel movies together is just way they're doing such a better job because I'm able to identify and
Hmm.
connect and care about characters. And of course, they have these little Easter eggs, and they have these little,
Yeah.
you know, you might see like a glove, or you might see a sword, or
Hmm.
you might see someone assembling a mask that
Right.
is like some other character that I've never seen or heard of or read about. But you know, some people get that. But you know, still, it's much easier to delve into this universe, and that's the quality of the filmmaking. That's the quality of
Right.
Kevin Feige of all people, who actually gives a shit
Hmm.
about the universe, about the characters, about the grand universe that Marvel already created through comics, and he cares about that.
Right.
And he's finding a way to please fans as well as make compelling, authentic, a compelling, authentic cinematic universe. Not just one or two films, man. It's like I think
Yeah.
we're at 25 now.
It's a juggernaut, and being a comic book fan, you know, I was a comic book geek growing up. I still have comic books, you know, and I remember my first X-Men, and when I see something in one of his movies and I can relate to it, or I see something that's like, okay, well, I know what's coming, you know, it's a great feeling, and you want him to at least. I get sometimes when you have a book and you want to bring it to the screen, you know, you have to change some things, because if you didn't, it would just be a very, very, very long movie, you know. But I like the way that they're keeping the important things in
Mm-hmm.
place. But, you know, because technically, you know, Hugh is taller than Wolverine is supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
in the comic books, you know, but nobody cares,
Yeah.
you know. But for us diehards, we're like, yeah, Wolverine wasn't that tall, but I couldn't picture anybody else playing Wolverine,
At this
you
point.
know.
At this point. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
You know, I saw something on YouTube. Somebody was saying, you know, the best, if they truly want to get an accurate depiction of Wolverine, it would have been Bob Hoskins
mhm,
playing Wolverine. You
I
know,
agree.
short and stocky.
Exactly.
But listen, after 20 years, man, there's nobody else. There isn't.
You know, they're having the debate now about Storm, you know, with the success of Black Panther, because, you know, Storm and Black Panther, they had a relationship in the
Mhm.
comics. And so now they were like, well, you know, this person really didn't play Storm well because of this and that and everything else. So now that's the great big debate on YouTube. You know, who would be a good Storm? You know,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of torn because, you know, she's tall, you know, picturesque, but, you know, she's got to have that style and charisma, and to find, you know, someone who can pull that off, you know, it's going to be difficult. They've even mentioned the young lady from the Old Guard, you know, saying that she would be a
Yeah.
good candidate. You know, that I was absolutely amazed by, you know, her acting. You know, she came off as very realistic, not just because she was a Marine, you know, in the movie, but she came off as very realistic, and I think she's going to do some wonderful things, you know, moving forward. I'm definitely a fan.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Old Guard was phenomenal. I mean, if we don't get a Highlander reboot, they need to continue with the Old Guard series, man, because like
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. Someone suggested, so you got to watch the Old Guard. I said, well, I started it, and after about 2 or 3 minutes, I kind of stopped it. It's like, no, no, keep watching. And so I took a chance, and I was blown away. I was actually like sad that it ended. I was like, they need to start working on part two right now, because, you know, it really shocked the world. It was very surprising. You know, that and Extraction. I can't wait to see part two.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, definitely hope. Is there a sequel slated for Extraction?
I heard that they were, because at the end of it, when the kid that he saved was coming out of the water, there was a person in the background that kind of had the shape of, the
Yeah, he was blurry. He was blurry,
right.
but yeah, I remember. Yeah, yeah, it definitely looked like him. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I believe that they are going to be working on a part two, and now that would be like amazing to be able to get a casting and to even be associated with a production like that. Because one of my friends, who incidentally he was on Anacostia, he left. He went. I believe he's in Atlanta now, and he was an extra on in Black Panther. And so it's like, man, just keep dreaming and keep pushing. And another one of my friends, speaking of DC Universe, he's going to be in he's going to be one of the thugs and the new Wonder Woman coming out.
Okay.
And
Hell yeah.
so it's just sitting there like, dude, I need people like that around me so that I know that these things are possible. These things are possible, and we just have to keep pushing and a little luck and a little blessing and a lot of hard work, to get there. So
yeah. Well, to answer your question, yes, Extraction 2 has been announced.
Outstanding.
And it looks like Chris Hemsworth is playing Hulk Hogan in the biopic. So if anybody's big enough and can get swole enough for that, it's obviously Chris Hemsworth. But yeah. Chris Hemsworth as Terry Bollea, aka Hulk Hogan. So I mean, but I saw announcements for that for a while now. So that biopic I'm definitely excited for. But yeah, that's going to be a fun bag of tricks there. So
it definitely. I mean, Netflix is really, it's surprising me. They're putting out some quality, shows. If someone doesn't have Netflix, I don't know what they have. Well, Fire Stick. I'm a Fire Stick guy, but definitely, YouTube, Fire Stick, Netflix. That's pretty much the extent of it.
yeah.
I dabble in Sling from here. Football season, I'll pick up Sling, but for the most part, YouTube, Netflix, Fire Stick.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, look, Netflix is perfect for it. Netflix Prime, Hulu, Fire Stick, it's perfect
especially now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially now, people aren't going anywhere. All you have to do is to eat, watch TV, and make babies, I guess.
Yeah, starting in April, I think it was definitely April 1st. Movie distributors were like about to walk into the theater, and they're like, no, Netflix. Who wants to offer me a better deal? Netflix, Prime, Hulu. Yeah, no, okay, you guys, yeah. So
yeah, because they're going to release Mulan, right? Mulan is coming straight out to streaming,
straight
right?
to Disney Plus. Yeah,
exactly. So I mean, again, this is part of the new norm, and we definitely have to figure out a way to get back to some sense of normalcy, but we have to do it safely, because one thing that is true, regardless of what you believe, is that people are losing their lives, and I can attest to that because I lost my uncle recently to complications with COVID. So when people out there saying that it doesn't exist as a hoax, tell that to the people who are losing family members, loved ones. Whether you believe it or not, if you have it, I don't want you to share it. That's for sure.
Right.
Just so if you're not thinking about yourself or your family, think about other people, man. I've got my mask right here, and I'll tell my daughters, they say, hey, where you been? Are you out there? Are you being safe? Are you being smart? Because we're sending these college students, and they're partying. Because of course, when I was younger, I thought that I could do anything, and I was going to be fine. But that's not the case. you know, and even if you are asymptomatic, I mean, there are people losing their lives, you know, and if it can be avoided, then we should, Glenn. I mean, we just have to. It's not even a political talking point anymore. People are dying, and one person losing their life when they don't have to is one person too many. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because you know some douchebag won't put on his mask, or everyone's like, not well.
Well,
Yeah,
it's a crazy time. You know, it's and you know even with you know all the movements that are going on around the world. Uh, you took an oath. I took an oath. You know, to defend this country and to defend every American citizen, regardless of whether they believe in what I believe, whether they're racist or whatever. We still took that oath to defend them. So when we come back and you know, and people like, well, this is this and that is that, as a military person, as a former Marine, you know, I took that oath so that you had the choice to do the things that you do, you know, whether I agree with them or not. You know, we took that oath. You're walking that walk right now. And the hard thing is sometimes, you know, to sit back and be like, we've given so much, we've sacrificed so much, and there's so many people who don't understand that sacrifice, and they'll say, well, we didn't tell you to do it. No, you didn't, but it was something bigger than me.
hmm
I thought more about others than I did about my own safety, my own quality of life, my own freedom. You know, being in the military is hard, and it's hard on families. So I commend every wife, every daughter, every son who's supporting their military fathers and mothers, you know, out there, because it's hard. It's hard, and you know, you never know where you're going to be from one moment to the next. You're here today, but dude, you could get activated and you could be gone for years.
hmm
You know, and that's you know part of the job. That's part of that's your understanding when you joined and so forth. And if I haven't said it, thank you for your service, man.
Oh,
I appreciate you.
and thank you for yours as well. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know
So
about
I
this. I don't know about being a Steelers fan, but I don't get it.
you
But you're are you? So you're not originally from DC, I take it.
No, I'm from Norfolk, Virginia, but I'll say this, and this is some probably useless trivia. Every Steelers fan probably knows this. The number one sports commercial of all times is the Mean Joe Green Coke commercial. That's what made me a Steelers fan. You know, as a little kid seeing that commercial, I fell in love with the Steelers right then. And years later, I met Mean Joe Green, got his autograph. I have his jersey hanging up in my house.
Okay, all right. Fair point. Fair point. Yeah. No, I get razzed for having these coffee mugs, and let's see if you can see it. And these are the wife's. Now the wife is from Maryland all her life.
Right?
These Dallas fans pop up everywhere. The only reason why I use it is these are the best coffee mugs we have in the house. So they're the biggest ones, so I can fill it up with the most coffee at once instead of doing multiple trips. So they're my favorite coffee mugs, with the exception of the Dallas on it. So
I don't. Those Dallas fans, they're funny.
well, you Steelers fans are funny too, man. Like you guys pop up kind of sporadically too. Not as much as Dallas fans, though. I will say that.
Dallas fans. You know, I'd have to say Dallas fans when and I know I'm going to get some flack about this. Usually, when I see Dallas fans, it's a lot of women are Dallas fans. You know, I don't know whether it was the Troy Aikman thing or whatever. A lot of women were just Dallas fans for some reason.
Isn't it
and
like?
then the Redskin.
Well, isn't it Tony Romo now?
Yeah, well, it was Aikman, Romo. Now you got Dak. You
Dak.
know,
That's
so
who it is. Dak. Yeah.
I don't know. You know what's up with so many women being Dallas fans. You know, and I'm just like, okay, I don't know, but the Redskin fans they're really funny because they always start every season. We're going to the Super Bowl, and then by mid-season, you don't see any Redskin gear. You know, they take off the jackets, they take off the lanyards.
They take down the flags out the front of the house. They're like,
yeah. You see nothing from Redskin fans. You know, but Dallas fans, they're still there. They're still there. You know, they could be as long as they beat the Redskins.
oh,
That's a successful season.
don't you mean Washington football team.
You're right. I'm not being politically correct.
No, it doesn't. It's not even politically correct anymore. That is the name of the team,
yeah,
Washington football team.
Yeah, so I apologize. Yeah, that team. You know,
you want to talk?
Suck.
You want
to?
They, I'm sure they do, or I'm sure they will. You want to talk about the most passive aggressive? You don't really want to change it. You really want us to change it to Redskins? Okay, well, let's come up with a deciding factor. Here's our decision: Washington football team. The most passive aggressive agreement to the most passive aggressive choice in that progressive decision making of the title change. Okay, that's fine. And they're like, what? Where did you come up with that? I think that's a good name. Yeah, Washington football team.
I'm from the old core. Well, my years of the old core. I went in the late '80s, and I remember doing my 4 years and getting out. I'm done. I can't deal with this anymore. I stayed out for 4 years, missed it. Like, hey, the world is crazy. I'm going back in the Marines. And in just that 4 years, the Marine Corps changed. And I'm like, what in the hell happened to my Marine Corps? I mean, I'm the battalion platoon sergeant, 2 Marines. I have to say this, female Marines, they were late to my formation. I get chewed out, so I'm chewing them out and I'm dropping every F-bomb in the book. And I slip up once and say WMs, woman Marine. And she raises her hand, Sergeant, you can't call us that. And I'm like, well, why the F-bomb not? More F-bombs, this. He's like, it's politically incorrect. And I'm like, are you F-bomb serious? And so 30 minutes later, I'm in front of the sergeant major getting my ass chewed. And he's like, hey, Sergeant Whitby, you can't say that. And I'm like, are you freaking serious? I'm like, out of all the problems we have in the Marine Corps, you had me in here busting my ass over this. And he was like, well, yeah. He's like, you can't call them women Marines. You just have to call them Marines. I was like, but there is a difference, right? There is a difference between a male Marine and a female Marine. So I just think that we've become so sensitive, in our society. You're a woman, well, don't call me woman. Well, what would you like me to call you? Everybody. I had an Army Sergeant Major tell me not to call her ma'am, call her by her rank. And I said, well,
okay. Now, I see what you're saying with that, but there's different customs and courtesies for each branch. And so if she was a female sergeant major, then yeah, you would refer to senior enlisted as rank. So you either got sergeant for sergeant, staff sergeant, sergeant first class, they're referred to as sergeant.
Right. But see, Glenn, now you know this. In the Marines, we definitely harp on rank, But in the Army, you can just say sergeant.
And all the way up to, all the way up until master sergeant or first sergeant and then sergeant major.
Exactly. That doesn't fly in the Marine Corps.
I know. Yeah.
If I'm an E5, you call me sergeant. If I'm an E6, you call me staff sergeant. If I'm an E7, you call me gunny.
Yep.
Because we work for every single strike. And so again, we have common courtesies and everything else like that. And I think the hardest thing for Marine is to work for or with another branch of the service after they stop being a Marine.
Couldn't agree more. Oh yeah, definitely. Now
it's definitely hard.
Now, but Marines, sir and ma'am, enlisted, don't you?
Well, what I've learned is that there are going to be times where you don't really get a chance to see the rank, and so when in doubt, you always be courteous, sir, ma'am. I say ma'am to my daughters. It's not about it's just a sign of respect, and that way, because I remember one time calling a first sergeant a master sergeant. I just caught it out of the corner of my eye and got my butt ripped. So it's like you can never go wrong with sir and ma'am.
True.
You really can't.
No, that's now it's different because in the Army and maybe in the Air Force, you're going to get, enlisted that are like, oh, don't sir me, don't ma'am me. I work for a living. That phrase. But if I walk up onto a master sergeant or a first sergeant and I just see it's all filled up, it's real thick and filled up, I might just promote them, be like, "How you doing, Sergeant Major?" And they're like, "Oh, well, thanks, thank you too much. It's just first sergeant." And then I'm like, "Roger," and I won't forget. But I'll just promote them. "Hey, how you doing, Sergeant Major?"
It's always better to go up than down.
It's better to go up than down. You're absolutely right. And then, but no, in as far as I know, even today in the Army, it's sir or ma'am when it comes to officers.
Yeah, so. It's a good rule of thumb, and it doesn't cost a thing. It really doesn't. And in the Guard, I know a lot of times, you have people who will go warrant officer, so they could be enlisted here, and then they go away for a couple months, come back as a warrant officer. It's just easy for me. Like I said, it doesn't cost me $1 or anything. It doesn't cost me a cent to be courteous or respectful, to give a sir or a ma'am. Especially when you're going to be the bearer of bad news. It's like, well, sir, hey, hate to tell you this, but no, you can't do this or you can't do that. They can't say that you were discourteous or you were rude. It's just the rules. I'm just a simple Marine.
Yeah, man.
It's funny, but I love jazzing, other branches of the service, but we all have the same mission at the end of the day. And like I said, that's what makes this country what it is. And I know you get it. Hey, I'm just here. I served. You don't owe me anything. It was my time, and I thought it was my responsibility. And just like with you, and we need people like you to make sure that we maintain our freedom. I believe, because I would hate to see a world with no one giving a damn about the next person beside them, just because of, well, you're not this color, or you don't like the steel or something like that.
Right. Yeah, man.
So I'm there with you, Glenn.
So what's next on the agenda for you? What's the next set of goals, say 6 months out? What's the agenda?
Fortunately for me, I've got 2 projects in post-production. Detective MJ, Shadow of a Hero. That's a local web series. I have another one, The Debt, that was filmed down in Richmond. And I have another one, The Jade Project, Experiment or something like that. I believe it's being pitched, but bread and butter, we're getting ready for season 7 of Anacostia and so forth. And hopefully it's going to be the biggest and best yet. And secretly, I guess it's not secret anymore if I'm about to say it, but I'm working on my own web series, and I'm hoping that around January, I'll start putting some castings out to try to fill that. Trying to put my vision out there. I've seen other people's visions. I've helped them with their visions, and now I think it's time to put my vision out there of what I would want to put out to people, and hopefully they will be receptive to it.
Absolutely. Hey, I'm loving it, man. That sounds fantastic. It's yeah, now's the time. I know. Have you been back on set?
Oh, no, really haven't been back on set because everything pretty much shut down. But if you go to IMDb, it looks like I'm still working on things because I was working all the way up until the shutdown with COVID. So when people look and say, "Oh, well, you got this and you got that," but I know that there's some people starting to get back to work, but I think it's kind of hard. Right now, a lot of people don't really know what's going on. Is it this or is it that? Is it viral? Is it in the air? Can you get it this way? You get it that way? So a lot of people are still nervous. So I haven't been back on set, but I did speak to Anthony Anderson, the creator of Anacostia, and he did let me know that we're gearing up to start filming again. But I will be out there with my sanitizer and my gloves and everything else to take precautions to make sure that I'm safe and I'm protecting myself as well as others.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I just got certified as a COVID compliance officer. So I'm gonna start.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna start putting out feelers for that and see if I can get myself back on set and start networking, and then not do that and do what I want to do, do what I love to do. But yep, I mean, it's just another tool in the toolbox,
Right.
and it's a way to bring the industry back quicker, safer.
Hmm.
Look out for cast and crew. Help artists, and so
Right.
gonna have to be a dick about it. I'm gonna have to be a stern individual on set, but at the same time, it's like I got to get back on set. I know a lot of people need to get back on set, and the best way to do it is safe. Look at and help each other out and look out for each other. But also, I mean, selfishly, yeah, I want to get on set, network,
Hmm.
pass out headshots, pass out business cards, pass out resumes, whether it's acting or crew, and
That's what it's all about.
you know it. Well, what we touched upon this quite a bit, but what's your view of the new normal?
I believe that the new normal is very necessary, but we have all these. I'm just a simple Marine. We have these people, these brilliant thinkers up there. We need them to be brilliant, and we need them to think, figure out how we get through this. I mean, it's here. We know that the threat is out there now, and the threat is always going to be the threat. Help us figure out how we get through this. It's not about political affiliations or anything else like that. It's not about talking points. It's about us being able to be who we are, the greatest country, ever, safely. I mean, when we look at other countries and they're crushing this thing, we need to crush it too. We should be in the lead. We should be taking the lead and not bringing up the rear. Leaders lead from the front.
Yeah.
So that's what we need to do. So the new norm is very necessary, but we need to figure out how we can mitigate what's going on and make it work for us. We just have to do that. So I hope that the brilliant thinkers that we have in place will get it together and figure out how we can get back out there and create a vaccine so that we can get back to some sense of normalcy.
Yeah, and to touch upon that, I think honesty. We have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of brilliant thinkers out there, but only half of them are being just straight up honest. You got to give me the bad news.
Right.
Give me the bad news. Tell me
Mm-hmm.
what's needed. And then you got people like, well, it's not that bad. I'm like, come on, you're full of shit. You got to be honest. You got to be honest, because honesty is what's going to save lives. Honesty.
Yeah, we deserve that.
Even honesty first over all the facts. You got to be at least honest and say, listen, I don't have all the facts, but I can tell you right now, this is a serious situation. We need to put in place all these other, factors and stipulations to make to make this thing not killing millions of people.
Right.
And it first and foremost, it starts with honesty. And I think we have a lot of people that aren't willing to be upfront and honest completely due to their agenda, their long-term agenda, or their affiliation, or whatever, and so.
And that's what's sad, because people are dying because of the decisions that these people are making. And like I said, one person dying is one person too many if they don't have to die.
Right.
I don't want to be a statistic just because someone feels a certain way. If it's my time, it's my time. But damn it, if it's not my time, don't help me down the road.
Mm-hmm. So. Absolutely. Any last points? If there's one last point or bit of advice you want to put out there, what would that be?
I guess my last bit of advice would be, definitely keep shooting, for your dreams. Don't let anyone, hold you back, because people that think outside the box, those are the people who shape America, that shape the world as we know it. Think outside the box. Definitely think outside the box, and definitely keep pushing and trying to be the best that you can be. And family first. Let's get back to morals, man. Let's get back to family morals and taking care of our families and and sitting down at the same table and eating and just asking each other how our day went, because that's being lost. I don't even allow phones at the table when we're eating. You know, if we for at least 30 minutes, 45 minutes, however long it takes to eat, we can do without social media or phones or this or that or anything else. You know, let's just get back to a simpler time, a simpler place where we actually had to talk to each other instead of talking at each other.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great point. Great point. Anacostia, the web series, was on YouTube. I hope it's still on YouTube. I have Prime too, so it's on Prime now. Any other plugs, socials, links you want to put out there?
Oh, well, I'll tell anyone who knows me. I'm not a big Twitter person, but I do have Twitter. ROLFINI, that's ROLFINI 757 on Twitter. ROLFINI 6FT 4IN at Instagram. ROLFINI ROLFINI .actor on Facebook. Definitely, add me there. And on IMDb, you can definitely see everything that I've done past, present, and what I have coming up in the future. So I love IMDb. I'm adding stuff to it right now. When people see IMDb, they're like, "Oh, so you're legitimate." I'm like, "Well, yeah, I've done a couple things."
Yeah, no, that definitely helps the legitimacy of it. I mean, anybody could pay for an IMDb page and make up some stuff if they wanted to, but a lot of that it's got to get verified anyway. So
exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, having an IMDb, that's the end all be all. Quick note, I've dealt with a number of entrepreneurs, a number of so-called filmmakers, actors, and what I've noticed on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook is people with like 17 different titles,
right,
under their name, and nothing posted. You got nothing on your Instagram, nothing on your LinkedIn. All your socials are fucking blank. And it's like, hey, if you're an actor, send me your IMDb. Crickets.
Right.
So
exactly.
I mean, at this stage, I'm lucky enough and I've been active enough myself to where I have my own website, deadonpictures.com. Right. And so everything's just tacked into that. So if I was to give somebody, the most I would give somebody as far as links is my IMDb and my website. Right. Or in reverse order, probably my website and then my IMDb, because I have a store on there and I want to sell shit too. But yeah, as far as like, because I've got my crew, I've got my crew work and my acting work on there, and
right,
and I'm blessed to say, and I love your hashtag, I love your shirt. I'm blessed to say, because really, I mean, it depends on like what you want to. It depends on your view of like who's out there looking above us, and I have a very open view about who or what that might be, but
right.
I don't think we're alone. I don't. And so I find that I have to give myself some credit, perseverance, kept working, kept learning, stuck with it, stuck to my guns. Just, I kept pushing forward and kept pushing forward and kept pushing forward. But there's times where I was like, I'm not even going to try. There might have been something where I'm not even going to try.
Right.
And I just got a phone call out of the blue. Now, is that because I'm blessed, or is that because I just did so much? I created a reputation for myself. I developed a network, and yeah, maybe a bit of both. So yeah. I do my best. I do my best to stay as humble and as honest as possible. And I always use the word blessed. And am I blessed with the ability of perseverance and nonstop commitment and passion? Or because there's been times where like I lost a gig last minute. Shit, man, what am I going to do this month? And then a day later, I got another call. Right. And that blank spot, that newly blanked spot on my schedule got refilled up. And so is that a blessing? Of course it is. Is it also from my perseverance,
Mhm.
and the hard work and the steady hard work that I did for the last 15, 20 years, which is now paying off. But was I
Definitely.
blessed? But was I blessed then with that? You see what I'm saying? So I guess it all adds
Exactly.
up to being blessed. So
I can't agree with you more.
I get, I'm not a philosopher. I'm not. I won't say I'm too much of a religious guy. Definitely faithful. Definitely faithful. I definitely believe there's got to be something. There's got to be. When people tell me like there's nothing out there, and I'm like, then where did we even come up with the idea of it?
Exactly.
Like, you had a loved one passed away from COVID.
Yes.
Why do you even give a shit? There's got to be that's something above just biology that makes you care, right?
Definitely. I mean, I like to believe that it has a lot to do with my upbringing, uh, and my mother. God bless her soul. She's no longer here. And my family. It's about things that are instilled in you, and to care about others, and like you said, to keep pushing forward and not to give up. No matter how hard it gets, and it does get hard.
Yeah.
And I'll be the first to say there are times that I feel like just crying, giving up, and just saying forget it. But then I think about how many people out there who don't have as much as I have, or people who weren't born with all their limbs, and they're still out there smiling and trying and making things happen.
Yeah.
So it could always be worse. What the hell do I have to complain about if this person is going through all of that? If they
Right.
can get through that, I should be able to get through this.
But what I'm saying is, a pack of dogs might lose a pup.
Right.
And the mother might feel like a loss, but like, I'm not trying to push religion. I'm not even trying to push my faith on this.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is, like, we have this deeper connection to each other. We have this bond that we are emotionally, and people, and there are people that are out there that'll say like, it's just a chemical reaction that a loved one passes away. It was like you said, it was instilled in us, and it was by nurturing and training, if you will. Parenting is parents training their kid, kind of, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But it's like, where do we come up with all these fantastical ideas, as opposed to just being like monkeys, and being like lions, and being like dogs, and being like squirrels, and just collect food, go back to the hole, eat, breed, collect food, go back to the hole, eat, breed, collect. I mean, we don't do that. We want something as humans, filmmakers and entrepreneurs and business makers, and building buildings, and creating art and music. I mean, why does music hit us the way it does, right? And it evokes something
Mm-hmm.
that's unnatural. And I think that, and that is just,
Right.
that's simply the proof that there is something beyond just human biology within us human beings. And yeah, it's like, when we lose a loved one, it's like we're hit differently than say, we're hit differently than say a bird loses a chick.
Right.
I think. But anyway, I don't want to get too deep.
You're pretty deep in, and I get it. I understand wholeheartedly, and I agree with you. Mysteries of the world.
Yeah.
But
and so it's those mysteries of the world that makes me agree with blessed. It's, yes, I'm blessed. I want to, but at some point, and now this raises another concern for me. Like, maybe I sit back and I try to figure out, like, when did this blessing start? Was I just always blessed with this innate passion to just keep pushing forward and persevere? I haven't made it yet. I'm not world famous yet. I'm not in a movie. I'm not the star of a movie in millions of theaters across the globe.
Right.
So why am I doing it? I'm 40 plus now. Like, what? And I'm like, but if I go back and I look at my reel and I look at my resume and I look at my IMDb and my websites, like there's so much there that I've already done. Just keep moving forward. And I can look at already how blessed.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more with, you know, the blessed, but, so ROLFINI, Twitter, Instagram, let's we went on to get too super deep on religion and faith and all that stuff. But yeah, yeah, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and sharing what you shared. And yeah, any closing remarks? Anything you want to close out with?
Hey, I appreciate you doing what you're doing, and you know, giving people like me a platform, you know, to reach out to the masses, you know, because if it wasn't for people like you, I don't know how we would get our voices out there. So God bless you. I appreciate you, man.
Well, thank you. I mean, I appreciate that. That's kind of, you know, where I'm shooting with this show, I guess. And I can't thank you enough for coming on the show, sharing your experiences, sharing your thoughts. Anacostia, I definitely want to collaborate with you and jump on board however I can with some of your future projects. And
outstanding. Yeah. I'd love to have you.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks again for coming on the show. To my viewers, I certainly hope I've earned the privilege of your time. I know my guest has. And check us out next time.